Hey there, it's Carrie with Embark, and this is your Kilimanjaro planning and preparation session. By now, you probably have been registered with Embark to climb Kilimanjaro for anywhere from 3 to 6, maybe even 9 months ago you signed up. The purpose of this call is to kind of circle the wagons, get you back into that planning phase, check back in with you about how you're doing, and remind you that yes, you did in fact sign up to climb Kilimanjaro and it is happening. So that's the main point of today and this info session. And also a really important thing is to be able to get a little bit more into the intricacies and the details of the climb. So we'll revisit some old information that you may have remembered from a Kilimanjaro info session or a call that you might have had with one of us. But then we'll get a little bit finer into the finer details of climbing Kilimanjaro, things like gear lists and packing and training and all of that good stuff. So that is the point of this info session, and let's kind of get started. Let's get it rolling. So I wanted to start you off with a video and some imagery to get you back in the mood, the climbing mood, and maybe get you a little excited about climbing Kilimanjaro.
It's a great crew, and every day we walk the trails, and we climb the mountain, and we learn about each other, and people are telling their stories along the way, and it's again very rewarding.
It's just amazing that after 2 years of planning, we're finally here, and everyone's doing great so far.
What an amazing experience, and I want to thank everyone that made it possible.
Every part of every day has been fabulous. Just so great to be here, led by Embark and working through what we're going through here each day with our guides and porters and cook crew, and it's a dream come true for us.
All of these amazing porters and people from this country being so welcoming to us and just encouraging us. Yeah, I'm still kind of pinching myself. I can't quite believe it's real.
That will be you in a few short months, sooner than you may realize. Okay, moving forward. Just reframing and reminding you about Kilimanjaro. It is the largest freestanding mountain in the world, and so at 19,341 feet, getting to the top of it is quite the endeavor. It is a huge mental and physical challenge. It is 42 miles that we do over 8 days and 7 nights using the Lemosho Route. Having said all that, it is not a technical mountain. It is not Mount Everest. It is not a lot of the mountains that require technical gear. So you are just gonna have your hiking boots and your day pack and your trekking poles, and you do not require a helmet or a harness or an ice axe or any of that equipment. However, training is vital. You need to train for at least 4 to 6 months prior to trying to climb Kilimanjaro, depending on kind of your level of fitness going into it. But it does need to be a focal point, probably from here on out, is training. Just a reminder of the way that our itinerary is put together. We've got our 2 nights in hotels on the front end of the trip. We start our hike at Lemosho Park Gate at around 7,800 feet. The hike is 8 days, 7 nights total. It's 6.5 days up and just 1.5 days down. It is quite the descent from Kilimanjaro out to the final park gate. And on the back end, included in your program, is 1 night back at the same hotel at the base of Kilimanjaro. This is the trip map, which you may or may not have ever seen, but we're going to go through it again. So this picture is taken from Moshi, which sits at the base of Kilimanjaro. That is where our operations are based in Tanzania. And it is quite a nice, small, kind of laid-back town on the southern flanks of Kilimanjaro. So we're gonna base ourselves in Moshi, and then the day that the climb starts, we're gonna drive over here to the west side of the mountain. The red line represents our first 3 camps, so you can see how gradual it is. We really do take our time. The first kind of big component, the big challenge of the trip comes where this notch in the mountain is. That is Lava Tower. This is Lava Tower Day. It is the day where you go from 12,000 feet up to 15,000 feet, and then you go down to 13,000 feet all in one day. So that'll be a day that really shows you what it's going to be like to be at that working hard at that higher elevation. It's also a really key time for our guides to gauge you as participants and see how you do with the elevation. Once we get up to Lava Tower, that will be a real big feat. We'll be at 15,000 feet. We will be very winded, and it'll be a great opportunity for a really nice hot lunch. So our camp crew go ahead of us and set up a whole mess tent, and they cook you a really nice meal to celebrate accomplishing that 1,500 foot elevation. So you are going to have your hot lunch, and then you're going to keep hiking down from Lava Tower, where you're going to come down to this area in the green, and it's the southern kind of flanks of Kilimanjaro. The green is our next 3 camps, and that represents us going from kind of camping at around the 14,000 foot level from there on out. So we kind of get up really high at 15,000 feet at Lava Tower, and then we come down to 13 or 14, and we tend to stay at that level for the next 3 camps. In between here also is our kind of second big challenge, which some people are nervous about, Barranco Wall. So we stay at Barranco Camp, and the next morning we do the Barranco Wall, which is an 800-foot escarpment that we have to get up on top of in order to continue our way up over to the side of the mountain. You shouldn't be afraid of Barranco Wall. It is actually, once you get down to it and do it, it can be a lot of fun. It is done in the safest way possible. We really handhold you if you need it, like literally if you need it, and we make sure that everybody is keeping and staying safe. So that's Barranco Wall. Now, as we work our way over here, where the green line meets the blue line represents Barafu Camp. That is our base camp, and it is our next and only camp where we are going to stay at 15,000 feet. So Barafu Camp is the highest camp, and that means it's also the coldest camp. Barafu means ice in Kiswahili, and it is getting up there in elevation, so it's cold. What's going to happen at Barafu Camp is you're going to get in somewhat early in the day. You're going to have an early dinner, and you're going to have a really comprehensive guide briefing about summit night. So we are going to get you ready with all of your gear and what to expect for summit night. Up until then, your guides will have been monitoring your group and the group's pace. Depending on the group's pace up until then, you will be told what time you're leaving base camp that night to summit Kilimanjaro. If your group's pace has been a little bit slower, you'll start more like around 10 p.m. If it has been a little bit faster, you'll start around midnight. So you'll start anywhere between 10 and midnight. You'll have that comprehensive guide briefing over an early dinner, and you'll go back to your tent and pull out all of the gear that you intend on wearing for summit night on Kilimanjaro. Your guides will physically come to your tent and look over head to toe all of your gear and make sure that you're properly outfitted for your summit night. After that, you will try and go to bed early and catch some sleep if at all possible. It's hard to sleep that night because you're at elevation, and it's always hard to sleep at elevation. You're camping. It's hard to sleep when you're camping sometimes, and the nerves. So don't beat yourself up if you are nervous or excited and you just can't get to sleep. It's totally normal. If you can relax and catch a few hours, it's very helpful. You will go to sleep, and then about an hour before you depart, your guides will come around and wake you up. You'll go to the mess tent, you'll try and have a little bit of fuel and some hot drinks, and you'll get ready for your nighttime ascent. You will start walking from base camp, following where this blue line is, up to this point where the blue meets the purple. That point is called Stella Point. It is sometimes referred to as the false summit of Kilimanjaro. It also is a point in time where you've been hiking through the nighttime, and right when you get to Stella Point is when the sun starts to come out. So it really feels like there's literally a light at the end of the tunnel up until you get to Stella Point. It is a hard hike. It's very steep, and it's done in the nighttime. And a lot of times it can be windy during the night when you're doing this portion of the ascent. And that all tends to, knock on wood, I'm not going to promise anything, but that tends to die down when the sun comes out and you're at Stella Point. When you get there and the sun is coming out and you've been working so hard all night and you feel like this should be over, like we're done, right? Because there's actually a sign. There's a sign that looks very much like the classic Kilimanjaro sign at Stella Point. But you're not done. It's kind of a trick. You still do need to continue following the purple line much more gradually. It is not as hard or as steep across the top of Kilimanjaro over here to the highest point, which is called Uhuru Peak. That is what the summit of Kilimanjaro is called. That is where the true summit is. That's where you will go. And depending on your pace, it should take you about an hour, hour and a half to get from Stella Point to Uhuru Peak. And again, once you've gotten to Stella Point, you've really done all of the hard work. It really is much more gradual to get to Uhuru Peak. Once you're up there, you will spend anywhere from 5 minutes to about like half an hour, 40 minutes on the top of Kilimanjaro. How long you spend at the top depends mainly on 3 factors: how you're doing, how the weather is doing, and what time of day it is. If all 3 of those align, then you will spend a longer amount of time up at the top of Kilimanjaro. If any one of those factors is off, you're not doing well, you're sick with altitude sickness or some sort of sickness or injury, it is too late in the day, or there is bad weather, any one of those, your guide will tell you that you will get your photo and you need to immediately turn around and proceed back down to Stella Point. Either way, we always are remembering that we're following what the guides tell us to do. Because it's all in the name of safety for everybody, for you as well as all of our support staff. So you will do your thing, whatever it is, up at the top of Kilimanjaro, and you will proceed back the way that you came along the purple line. When you get back to Stella Point, you will kind of jog left a little bit and you will take an ulterior trail that it's not the same trail that you came up, but it does meet back up with base camp, Barafu Camp. There you will arrive into camp and everybody will congratulate you, and you will feel like it is 5 o'clock at night because you got up at 10 o'clock at night and you've been hiking so hard, so high for so long that it just feels like the day should be done. But depending on your group's pace, it probably is really only like 10 or 11 in the morning by the time you get back to base camp, maybe even 9 in the morning. So you'll be very surprised by that. You will have a snack, some fuel to refuel, and maybe even a little bit of rest if time allows. And then you will continue hiking down the mountain to roughly right around here, which is Mweka Camp. That is your final camp on Kilimanjaro. It's all the way back in the lush green tree cover that you would have remembered from some of your first camps. And that is where we gift you with the best sleep of your life. So you will go to sleep there, and then you'll wake up the next morning and you'll have just a really nice forest walk out to the park gate, Mweka Park Gate. That's where we'll have our afternoon ceremony and celebration with all of our support crew. That's where we'll thank them so much for all of their hard work, acknowledge them, speeches. That's where the kind of gratuities will be presented to the support team. And then you will get in our transport and get back to Moshi. Have to rewind a little bit. It's like a 2-hour car ride to get to the start of the climb. When you're on this side of the mountain, it's more like a 30-minute drive to get back down into Moshi. And so remember that you have one final night in the hotel in Moshi, and where you have like a nice hot shower and sleep in a bed before either departing for your onward journeys or your post-trek safari. So that is a very comprehensive rundown of the route and kind of key influx points as pertains to like the harder days on Kilimanjaro, the lava tower, the Barranco Wall, and the summit night. I can't tell you everything because I don't want to spoil it for you. You're going to have to just experience all of those little nuances yourself as well. So after having said all of that, here's just an overview. It is 42 miles. It is fully supported, and we'll talk about what that means here in a second. For a group of 12, you can expect about 60 porters, 6 guides, and 2 cooks. Your group may or may not be that exact size, but just so that you know for yourself and for planning, it's about a 6-to-1 crew to climber ratio. Kilimanjaro is human powered. You're not allowed to use pack animals, and you are doing a whole mobile camp moving you up that mountain, so it requires a lot of support staff. This is a picture of how much support staff a group that size might use. This is a group of about 12, and this is their entire support crew. Lots and lots of people. So getting into the depths of what fully supported camping means for those of you who've never done an expedition style trip like this. What does it mean to be fully supported while you're camping on Kilimanjaro? I always like to say it basically means you're spoiled. For those of you who backpack on your own, this is a trip in the park. This is a walk in the park. All of your camp gear is transported and set up for you every single day. You are not erecting your own tent. You are not cooking your own meals. You are, all of your water is collected and treated for you. You are just carrying what you need on a daily basis in your day pack. And what is that you carry if you haven't ever done something like this before? So you are carrying a 25 to 35 liter day pack with a full hip strap and like load-bearing kind of components like the ones that you see in this picture. Inside of that, you're going to have your different clothing layers for the day, your food and your snacks, and your water. You're probably going to be using your trekking poles, but when you're not, they will go on your day pack. Anything that you don't have in your day pack, you will not see from the time you leave camp in the morning until you get to the next camp in the afternoon. That duffel bag that you take with you gets put on a porter and carried to the next camp, and you don't see it. And this is how most Africans carry heavy gear, is on their heads. It's actually way better than carrying it on your arms. But it is hard work, and they do it so wonderfully, and we're so proud of our support team. So this is the duffel bag that we ask everybody to bring with them on Kilimanjaro. It's about a 90 to 100 liter waterproof duffel bag. It cannot have any hard sides or wheels because of what I just talked about. It is going on somebody's head or their back for them to carry it. So it cannot be a suitcase or anything like that. And it does need to be waterproof because of the elements. It does go into one of these protective green bags, but we just like to be ultra sure that all of your precious stuff is protected. So make sure that it is waterproof. Sometimes people ask if I have a waterproof backpack that fits those measurements and requirements, can I bring it? Yes, absolutely you can, but it does need to be waterproof. This is what all of your gear that's going to go in your duffel bag should look like. What will happen when you arrive on site is you'll have a really comprehensive briefing at the hotel, and your guides will send you back to your room, and you'll put all of your gear onto your bed like you see here, and they'll go do a literal head-to-toe gear check for everything to make sure you're properly outfitted, headed out onto your climb. What does camp life look like? Pretty good, I gotta tell you. So every day your guides are coming around to your tent and they're doing a comprehensive medical check on you. They're asking you a laundry list of questions that basically amount to how are you feeling and how is your body functioning. And they're also going to do a pulse ox check on you to make sure that you have proper oxygen. This is our mess tent where we have all of our meals. It depends on the day, but typically you're gonna have a hot breakfast in the morning. You may or may not have a hot lunch in the afternoon. If you don't have a hot lunch, then either it'll be a shorter day and you'll get to camp and have lunch, or you'll be provided with a box lunch and some snacks. And then evening time is always a hot dinner at evening. We have tea time, like usually around 5, and dinner is around 6 or 7 at night. And this is just a picture of camp. This is actually Barranco Camp, and this is the Barranco Wall right here. So you've got our Mountain Hardware mess tent here, our dome, and then you've got your 4-season, 3-person tents where we put 2 people. We can arrange single rooming and tenting on Kilimanjaro. It is a little bit of an extra cost, but we're happy to do that for you if you're interested in having your own room and or tent. Then we also have our composting toilets with privacy tent around them. They have toilet paper and hand sanitizer, and those are always in camp for you. They're available in the morning, before and after breakfast, and then in the afternoon and evening when you get into camp, they'll already be ready and set up for you when you get into camp. Okay, training. As I indicated, it is a big endeavor to climb Kilimanjaro, and you should not just show up without having trained. Most people require at least 4 months of training, if not 5 or 6 months, to be in the kind of physical condition that they need to be in order to successfully climb Kilimanjaro and to do it without being tortured too much. So you're gonna be at your kind of limits sometimes on Kilimanjaro. It is going to be a hard climb. If it was easy, everybody'd go climb Kilimanjaro, that's for sure. But you can really suffer less if you show up well trained. So what does that look like for a trip like Kilimanjaro? It's mainly cardiocentric workouts. So we're trying to train for the physical part of climbing Kilimanjaro. We're also training for that elevation. Having said that, everybody always asks, do I need to go do a trip to Colorado so that I can go train my body for high elevation? Or should I go in one of those gyms where they put the mask on and it has less oxygen? You can't ever, short of moving to a higher elevation, like the upper levels of the Rockies or something, there's no way to physically train your body for Kilimanjaro. The best thing you can do is train yourself cardiocentrically leading up to it, so that your body is ready for that endeavor when it gets there. I do encourage you, if you did have access to a trip to Colorado or to one of those gyms where you do put on the mask, that's great for understanding what it feels like to be exerting yourself with less oxygen. Because a lot of the time when you are traveling and you're hiking in those higher elevations, if you've never experienced what it means to kind of be depleted of oxygen and working hard, it can be really helpful to understand, oh, this is normal, this is what it feels like before you go on Kilimanjaro. A lot of times it's kind of a head game more than anything if you've never experienced that. So moving on from there, it's also very, very, very important to actually get out and hike. You need to know how to hike, if you've never done that kind of thing before. And you also need to hike to understand how your gear works for you. Are these hiking boots that I bought going to be right for me? Does this backpack work? How is this water bladder? Do I like a water bladder, or would I rather have water bottles? You can only know that after putting it to the test while actually going out and hiking. And we fully acknowledge that not everybody has hiking trails just out their back door or within an hour of their house. But if you read our training guide and our training plan in your Kilimanjaro landing page, we have lots and lots of kind of cheats to like get out and get hiking, but not necessarily do it on a trail setting. Everything from doing a city walk with a weighted backpack or rucking to going and running stadium steps, or putting your weighted pack on and doing the Stairmaster, or putting or going to the gym and doing the treadmill on an incline with your backpack. Those are all really great things to do for cardio and to kind of mimic hiking if you don't have easy access to trails around you. This is what our 16-week workout guide looks like, and it lives again in this landing page. If you have not already bookmarked that landing page, please pull it up and bookmark it so that you can really easily go back to it and be referencing it in the next 5 to 6 months as you get ready for Kilimanjaro, because this has all things Kilimanjaro: training plans, video tutorials, sample menus, all kinds of information. So back to the training guide, what I always like to say about this is you can use this however you feel like it works for you. If you have never done anything like this and you're really type A and you just don't even know where to start, you can literally start at week 1 and follow it verbatim throughout the weeks and do that. If you're super experienced or you're not type A, you can just kind of take a look at it and understand what we're doing as we advance week to week, and you can kind of follow it more high level. It's up to you how you want to use it, but it's good to at least look at and understand. Gear, as you can imagine, gear on Kilimanjaro is really important. You need to show up with proper gear. And what's that quote? It's proper gear doesn't cost, it saves. If you buy the proper gear, you will be very happy having been properly outfitted. So don't scrimp on that. You will notice that there is a weight limit. Our porters have a 15 kg, so that's 33 pounds weight limit of what they can carry in that duffel bag. So you can put anything you want in there, but it all has to come in at that 33 pounds, 15 kgs. So your main duffel bag is gonna have most of your gear, and that will go from camp to camp with a porter, and then you will have your day pack. And yes, you can absolutely leave an extra bag or a suitcase at the hotel while you hike. Everybody is going to have something that they're not going to bring on the mountain with them. We do it all the time. It goes in a locked gear thing at the hotel. We've never had any problems with it. I travel to Tanzania all the time with my work computer and I leave it there. Not an issue at all. Rental gear. We do have a rental gear program. We partner with KilimanjaroRentalGears.com, and you just work directly with them through their website to reserve rental gear. Common rental items, as you will see here, are items that are not kind of fit dependent. So they don't need to be a certain size for you. They're universal: sleeping bag liners, trekking poles, duffel bag, gaiters, and ponchos. These also, for the most part, are more big ticket items that if you don't see yourself ever doing anything like this again, would definitely be something that you would just rent. Having said all of that, some important considerations. If you're very picky about the way that you sleep, you're scared that you're going to be too cold at night, or that your sleeping pad isn't going to be thick enough, then bring your own stuff so that you know that you're set and that it's not left up to the mountain gods. The other important consideration is when you're renting bulkier things that take up a lot of your space and potential weight, your ability to pre-pack those actual items is going to be inhibited because you won't be able to pack the sleeping bag ahead of time to understand that you're coming in at your weight limits, or that all of it fits comfortably in your duffel bag. Having said all that, nobody's ever not figured it out. Lots of people rent lots of gear from KilimanjaroRentalGears.com, and they end up figuring it out in Moshi before they go on their hike, and it works out fine. Okay, so moving forward from there, pre-trek timeline. What should you expect from now until you go on your trip? So now until about 3 months prior, we're in a little bit of a holding pattern. You can be training, you could be getting caught up on any gear purchases that need to be done. You need to be submitting your passports and your insurance to us. And then now is a good time too to go visit your doctor or a travel clinic for your vaccines, as well as for Diamox and possibly for malaria prophylaxis. Let's talk a little bit for a second about Diamox. Diamox is the diuretic that helps with red blood cell oxygenation, and it's commonly used to help people with elevation issues, with altitude sickness. We ask that everybody bring a prescription of Diamox with them. You can choose to take it how you want. It is a diuretic, so it will cause you to pee a lot, and oftentimes people experience tingling in their fingertips and their toes. Every once in a while, somebody also experiences like a metallic taste in their mouth. Those might be reasons why people might hold off on taking the Diamox because they don't like those side effects. So you can choose to take it ahead of time. You can take it on demand if you're starting to get headachy or even feel nauseous from altitude. Just if you're waiting, remember the Diamox is not like an ibuprofen. You can't take it and 30 minutes later it's going to kick in. If you're starting to feel pretty yucky and you take a Diamox, it's going to need to take until the next morning for you to feel the effects of it. So that might be a reason why you kind of front load with the Diamox. And then malaria. If you're going on a post-trek safari, then you're going to want to take malaria, a prophylaxis, a malaria prophylaxis. However, if you show up with that, we want you to take it when you get done from the climb, because when you take Diamox and malaria together, a lot of times it causes some stomach upset. And your exposure to mosquitoes and malaria is so minimal in the couple days leading up to the climb. And then once we're on the climb, we're going to be at elevation, so you will not be exposed at all. So you really don't have that much of a risk of contracting malaria if you're off of the prophylaxis. Once you get down the mountain on that final day, then you'll start your malaria medication if you're going on a safari. So that is now until about 3 months prior. At the 90-day mark, so 3 months prior is a real key time frame for us. That's when all of your flights are due, as well as your final payment if you're somebody who's working directly with Embark and not maybe one of our foundations who's paying on your behalf. So 90 days prior to your trip is when your flights and your final payments are due. And we would love to see those flights a little bit before 90 days because the kind of cutoff for that is at 90 days. On that note, we will be uploading your flight parameters in the next coming days into your workflow. So you can visit that workflow and see what the parameters are. It's usually the first start date of the program, any time of day after 6 a.m. And then on the final day of your program, you can depart anytime after 6 a.m. But all of that to say that at this point right now it is okay to purchase your flights, and those flight parameters will be uploaded to your workflow here soon. Purchase your flights and then upload them into that flight section of your workflow for us to check. That's the 90-day mark. And then the next kind of key point in time is 6 weeks prior to your trip. That is where you'll get a really comprehensive pre-departure email from us. That will have everything from like, hey, don't forget your landing site for all things Kilimanjaro, to, hey, have there been any changes to your medical or health since you signed up with us? Do you have any new kind of dietary needs or restrictions? We'll be asking that. We'll also be providing you with arrival information that will have on-site contact information and logistical details. That is a document that will come in that email. The final thing that will come in that email is a link to our final send-off call, which happens 1 month prior to the trip. So you will get that in that final email. 1 month prior, we will all get together again for a meeting just like this, where We will go over some of the final logistics. It's designed to be a much shorter, high-level call, but we'll make sure that we go through logistics, on-site stuff, and then remind you about some key components of the climb as well. That is your final call. That is like the final time that you will have the kind of face-to-face with us. However, we are always available via email or phone in between that final call and when you depart on your trip. So that is what you can expect from here on out as far as the timeline. And then just high level things to remember. This is non-technical, but it is high elevation hiking. Acclimatization will be important. That's why we take it kind of slow and we take a longer time to get to the top. It's also why we have our 2 days in Moshi baked into every single itinerary so that you can have time to catch up to the time zone and a little bit of the acclimatization. Rest and hydration are really, really key. Hydrating on Kilimanjaro is your #1 thing you can do to help with acclimatization. Make sure that you're drinking at least 3 liters of water every single day. And then do not forget to train. Very, very important. Planning happens right now, 6 to 9 months in advance. And remember, it is a challenge, but it's also life-changing and it is super fun. And here's a little example of that fun time. Just a little of kind of what to expect on Kilimanjaro. That singing and that dancing happens almost daily. It's the Tanzanian way of life of having a kind of team environment, a togetherness about everything. It helps get the guys pumped for doing hard work, and they love for us to be part of it. They really do consider all of us a team together, and you will be a part of that in a very short period of time, whether you whether you like it or not. 6 months from now, you are going to be departing for Kilimanjaro. So that is it from me. I hope that this has been kind of informative and getting into like a little bit more of the weeds about climbing Kilimanjaro. And if you still have questions, please reach out via email or phone. We are always available. We realize that this is the trip of a lifetime for a lot of people. It's a big trip, lots of moving components, lots of details, so you're not expected to know all of the answers. We're here to help, and we love doing it. Kilimanjaro is where Embark was born, on the foothills of Kilimanjaro. We love sharing its country and its culture with people, and we're so excited for you to experience Kilimanjaro. It is going to be a journey indeed in all of the ways. So that is it from me. Thank you so much for your time, and please reach out if you have further questions. Thank you.